chisel and punch set. We're going to try out these punches with a 2-pound sledge and this leaf spring. So leaf springs tend to be pretty sturdy, so they should be a good test. We're going to try out the center punch, see how that works, and then I have the medium-sized chisel, and we're going to see if that leaves a mark behind, and we'll see if there's any damage or if they just work. Okay, so here's a medium center punch right in the center here, and we'll give it a whack, see what it looks like. And it looks like it left a nice little center punch. If you were starting to drill into this, or if you needed that for any other reason, that would be sufficient. Let's give it a few more, and we'll see what that tip looks like, see if it's going to last for the long haul. Alright, looks like we still have a pretty good tip on there. It's obviously not razor sharp, but it's still making nice little center punches. Not too bad. On that end, on this end, we're still looking real good. No bending or warping of any sort. That's not too bad. Let's take a look at these center punches. See if we can get some good lighting on there. You can see they're just pretty average, standard center punch divots that we made there. Let's try this guy out. Let's do this one on the other side. We'll try and find a nice spot for it there. Here we go. And you have a nice little line snapped across there, not too bad. You probably wouldn't be using this for that purpose, but it is a good test of its durability. Looks like we still have a pretty good chisel edge. This isn't a chisel like you would use on wood. This is primarily for metal, so that it didn't come razor sharp. So it's almost got the same exact taper as it did. Let's hit it a few more times, and here we'll make a cross. You got a cross there. If you were going to do that, and then hey, maybe you could follow that up with a nice center punch. We'll use this center punch, see if we can get it right in the center. This isn't a strong suit of mine, so we'll see. It's close, it was a little off, but not too bad. Now, let's try the next size down chisel tip. You know what, let's try and make a triangle here. We'll make a triangle with it. Okay, so we'll start here. Try and square that off at 90 degrees. See if we can make a equilateral triangle. So I'm going to turn this around, make it easier. Line that guy up. Steady. Perfect. And there you go. You got a little cross, you got a little triangle, and here's that small chisel tip after. It's kind of hard to see because the taper is a little more shallow on this one, but it looks like it's still pretty intact. You can do that for quite a while. Let's go ahead and do that and see if there's any damage. Just make straight lines here. Alright, so you can kind of see those little window patterns in there, but for a little small chisel tip like that, it didn't do too bad. Let's see if we can get this in focus, see how the tip's doing. Not too bad, not too bad. It's a little rounded, I mean if you're looking for a razor sharp edge, but as far as, let's see, this is a brand new one, right? It's not too bad, it's a little rounded over, but not too bad. Put that guy back, put this guy back. This is the smallest tapered punch, center punch here. Let's see if we can get these kind of in the center of these squares. Tip looks pretty good still. Still making pretty decent little center punches here. Bring this up, get it in the light so you can see it sort of. There you go. So you can see those little chisel squares we put out. We put some dots in the middle of those, and that one worked pretty good. Doesn't have too much wear. I think these will work for just general everyday punching. You know, they're not top of the line. The hardening isn't the hardest, but it should work for most everyday typical uses that you're going to punch out once or twice. And for the price, it's pretty much on par with any other center punch kit that I can see out there. We've seen what it can do on spring steel. Let's find out what it can do on this scrap of half-inch aircraft grade aluminum that I have laying around. I had this for kind of a custom crankshaft on a Miata, actually. I think I had to hold still with these bolts. Use it like a wrench. In any event, it's scrapped now. We're going to beat on it with these chisels and see how it does. Because this is a lot softer than spring steel, I've elected to use some of these just flat punches that we wouldn't normally use. So let's see how these do with aluminum. Aluminium. There we go. Let's punch a hole in this guy. Woo. That was a break. Sad. Okay, let's go for the little guy. Not too bad. Let's go ahead and hit this with the large chisel. Let's go for the triangle again here. There, level. There we go. There we go, you can see it there. Looks like it left a nice impression of aluminum. And more or less, let's see here, there we go. More or less it stood up, not too bad. Let's try the smaller center punch on the aluminum, because we did have that other one break. Okay, but we were using that in a way that we're not really supposed to be using it, so this center punch, we should be able to beat on this a lot in the aluminum, and it shouldn't break. So I'm going to give this kind of a torture test. The end may be rounded just because we're beating it up, but I don't want to see the shaft break. Really going at it, lifting it up above and hitting it. Alright, so we're still going strong. Let's see, let's put it right there. See if we can. Woo! Still stuck in there. That's pretty good. Ah, there we go. That's typically something that would happen that if this shaft wasn't hardened properly, that extra side load might make it snap. And it's handling this wobble pretty good. Yeah, see that whole piece move. Woo! Got it right off the edge. Still doing good, I think, even in the concrete. Oh yeah, it works great in the concrete. Let's go back to the metal. Wow, not too bad at all. It's still got a nice little taper to it. A little bit rounded, like a punch would get when you use it. It's not too out of the ordinary. And look at all those divots. That aluminum's still puckering. It's definitely still making nice little center punches. And as far as I can tell, everything's still nice and straight on the taper. There's no bends. I don't see any cracks. Looks pretty good. So this one, we did use it kind of off-label in a way you're not supposed to. Just a straight up hard load on this flat piece. I'm going to give that one a buy. I do kind of feel like since it just straight up shattered and broke, maybe the heat treatment is a little spotty on these. But again, we use that to failure on purpose, and that's not usually what you would use that punch for. But the chisel tips and the center punches, so far, they've done an admirable job. No problems, no bending, no flaking, no breaking. They're like Dr. Seuss over here. These ones, I think if you're using these on roll pins and the things that you're supposed to be using these on, they're not going to break. As the universe would have it, this is probably going to be the first size I actually need to use out of this, and I broke it because I'm a bad person. And I use my tools for reviews. But other than that, I think the set stood up pretty admirably to some pretty decent torture tests. Usually you wouldn't use hardened steel on spring steel, at least not frequently, and it did pretty well. You got all those punches here, you have the aircraft grade aluminum. This is pretty tough stuff, by the way. This isn't something that just breaks or bends easily. It's almost the same as steel. This stuff is so hard, so it doesn't, that's a 2-pound sledge. Even if I hit it on an angle, man, this stuff is tough. It doesn't give up real easy, so this isn't your typical soft aluminum that you're going to find in a can. This is some hardcore aluminum, and these punches are working pretty good on it still. That small one, that's a flush. That's flush. There's a little guy there, there's a big one. Let's give this larger punch a run for its money, see how well that works. Still looking pretty good. Still hammering out solid punches. Be able to get a drill bit in there, no problem. So we've been wearing these out for a while, beating on the aluminum plate, and they're all still performing pretty admirably. They have you have a decent center punch there, even with a large drill bit. We put that, let's just say right here. You're not going anywhere. Still solid. You can still take a bite out of the metal and get started. Right there. See that? Let's try the smaller one, yeah? Still getting a good bite into the metal. Spin that by hand real quick. Just kind of show you what we're working with. Yeah, it's started to clean it up nicely. You'll be able to get a drill bit started. This is the smaller size. Let's see if we can get it in there. Clean that off a little bit. Not too much aluminum. Okay, so that's the smaller size. And I'm still locked into that. Would not have a problem getting this large bore drill bit started on here, even with that little tiny center punch. So these are definitely doing their job the way they should. We had the one breakage. I think I'm going to give that a buy, especially given the entry-level pricing for a full kit. I'm not real concerned if one breaks. I think when you get into a budget set of center punches or chisels or anything you're going to be abusing, if one or two of them break, that's really not a deal breaker for most folks. And most of the time you're not going to be abusing your center punches with super hard steel anyway. So there you go. It's pretty decent kit. I like it. it works, it does its job well, and for the price, you really can't beat having... If it would have worked half as well as this, I think it would be worth the price, so... It's an okay value for the money. I don't think you're getting ripped off at all. I think this is a good, solid product, and you can beat on it. If the tip were to get worn down, you could probably go ahead and throw that on a grinder, take it down, reshape it, but you would probably want to reharden it at that point. You could either case harden that, something like Case and 8, or maybe just get it cherry red, however you decide to heat treat your tools at home, or at this price point, you could just buy another set and replace the few that need replacing. Up to you. All in all, a good little set.